Meph, this is Rowdy. This is the namesake of the 0-5 podcast because he goes 0-5 at every tournament.
Yeah, I just like to get stoned and push my stuff into things.
You know what?
Yeah.
Getting stoned and pushing your stuff into things is the American way.
Absolutely.
Welcome to Marty. You got your hair cut.
Yes, I did. I said I would.
Fresh.
Marty, you're looking handsome.
Look at that.
This accent that I have just bombarded with out of you, I don't know if it's performative or if that's how you talk, but it is glorious.
No, that is actually how he talks.
Can you say that's marvelous again for me, please?
Say marvelous again, Round.
Marvelous.
Say-
Absolutely marvelous.
That's marvelous.
Yeah, that's just
This is what,
yeah, that's him.
That's amazing. Oh my god.
Friends with his wife too. It's a
talking-
good. Yeah.
If you want, I'll join you.
Yeah. Pop in then, big dog.
You're getting Philly and New York represented here, Meph. This will be all.
absolutely.
This is
And I guess New York and South Jersey at the same time. What do you
Yeah,
want?
I talked to your family. I know how they feel about New Jersey.
My
the
mother said that
tri-state.
she really appreciates your YouTube channel, by the way. She's been watching your
Aw.
videos now and again.
Aww.
it,
Thank you, Mrs. Orlando. If you're watching this or see this at some point,
She's
I know.
not. You
Okay,
gotta tweet
fair
her.
enough.
Just tweet at her.
Okay,
It's fine.
I will.
Yeah.
Lee Orlando. I know who she is. Ah, nice. All right. So what are y'all talking about?
I was explaining to our friend Rowdy what the RantCast was, and
jeez.
yeah, well, he's like, oh, the Midwest, they play Warhammer out there? It's like, yes,
They
that's where
do.
Adepticon
Keep hopping
is.
in.
And it was explaining
There you
the
go,
whole thing.
Rounds.
Oh, good.
He's so
He's getting a
And
chair.
he's explaining it. He's explaining it in a lovely periwinkle.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I also wanted to say,
Fairy winks.
well, when Meph is looking at the screen again, I traveled to my spiritual homeland yesterday, as I was posting on Twitter.
I saw that. I was jealous.
Well,
I
like,
love that museum.
Well, I didn't really do anything for my birthday because it's just everyone getting their schedules in order. It happened
Sure.
yesterday instead. So we went to the Met, and we went to
Metropolitan
immersive
Museum Art, Metropolitan
Yes.
Museum of Art. Yeah, right on.
and,
Yeah.
and we went,
I
and
have
we-
been.
And then we,
I'm a man of
and then we
culture.
went all the way
I
down
don't think you
to
talk very well. You try it.
Oh,
Let
they're
Martin
trying-
talk.
they're trying to- No, they're trying to
Can you
mic
guys
thing.
hear it?
Yes. Oh
Can,
no, this
can you
is
hear? Can you hear me now?
yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
You glorious
Okay,
bastard.
Fucking rocket to Russia, Bubs. Wait, am I allowed to cuss on this?
You're
Oh,
not
it-
supposed to,
we already
but
put-
everyone
yeah.
has except me.
Yeah.
And me technically.
Oh
True.
wow!
True, 'cause you just got here.
Surprising.
Weird.
Camera etiquette is like a 60-year-old man.
Oh yeah. How do I do the button for the camera? Tell people.
How do I get the button to work?
Am I on with my
Meth.
grandkids? Hello, this is your peepaw.
Marty, Marty, are you eating? Are
Martin,
you
You
eating?
eating enough, Marty?
Martin.
Oh,
Every time I'm a guest
Martin,
on their
you look
podcast, this is what
peckish.
happens.
Martin, you did this.
Oh,
You did this.
and then
You
there's also
wanted
the
this.
Orlando, I love you. Oh, yeah, I know. I've been a guest there once or twice. It's a great podcast.
Oh shit. Okay.
We follow some of the best players in the United Kingdom, Warhammer Weekly itself, and then it's the Philadelphia East Coast Fun Time Hour.
Yeah, gritty.
2 hours.
Yes.
We didn't even talk Warhammer in our thing. We just
Not
did
really, no.
everything
You
else.
just, did
really.
two, you just did 2 musical numbers from a Warhammer narrative event. Yes, we talked
That's true.
Warhammer.
That too. And they were
Sure.
good musical numbers.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Ah,
Rowdy's a dirty leftist too, so.
Yeah, I know, it's-
Oh yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
yeah. This is
where's Sean?
I am
should be coming on.
the liberal
Okay.
agenda.
Wait,
You are, Brad.
Martin didn't get to say what he got at the Met.
No, well.
Oh shit!
it's
Yeah,
fine.
Martin, go ahead.
It'll
No,
be fine. Another hour
No,
and a half
no.
of tangents.
But
Yeah.
I want to know. I
No.
want to know before we go and get kicked off.
Yeah,
since our
yeah.
podcast-
yeah. Tell them so I can kick them off and we can move on to the total
Yeah, well,
hijinks.
I got you something.
They're the only
Immersive
anchor left right now, and then after this, it's just I think it's you guys. What Heywoah? It just.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Mars is going to be on a
He's-
block.
he's
That's
just
already
walking,
going to
by the
be
way.
crazy.
He's absolutely just drawing at it. I got him a gift and everything.
You
All
got him a
Andrew.
gift on your own birthday. Then,
Yeah, I
you
got
said
Andrew a
this.
gift for running the
it's a guy.
Rantathon.
Oh, that's
Oh!
someone's name.
Oh, you
I'm
got
sorry.
me a gift.
Yes, I did. I saw that and I was like, this would be a perfect gift for him. So in addition of going to the Met, I went to the immersive Van Gogh experience. It was in this giant warehouse on the pier by Battery Park.
They punctuate it by chopping off one of your ears, right? Like you just.
No, they do literally smother you in his artwork because you basically go into a room filled with wall-sized projectors, mirrors in various shapes, and if you buy a VIP ticket, they give you a pillow to sit on because you're meant to sit in the middle of this warehouse and look at the walls, the ceilings, and the mirrors. And on the way out, I saw a mouse pad, and I was like,
That is awesome.
That's brilliant.
So it's yeah.
We
Cool.
decided since you're such a big Death fan too, Meph, we'd make sure there were spooky ghosts and spooky ghosts.
Spooky ghosts.
Spooky.
Well, enjoy your talk, everybody.
Yeah.
This is the Rockos signing off.
Thank you, John, Jackie. Thank you so much.
Rocco. Goodbye, Jackie. Rocco. I love you both.
Bye, everybody.
Beautiful people. Tell your mother I said hi.
If Sean doesn't show up, just yell at me and I'll pretend to be him too. But we'll go and bye.
It works.
Peace. All right.
So yeah, the next time, if you want me to mail this to you, or the next time we're both at a GT together, I will bring it.
I will certainly be at Adepticon because I'm helping run it.
There you go.
Brendan's the TO and I'm floor judge or whatever. So I'll certainly be at Adepticon, but beyond that, I'm not certain. So.
It's fine. That's why I said the next tournament we are both at together.
But if we hit one of these, if we get there's a super secret set of stretch goals. One of them forces me to go to Nova, and I think you head to Nova, don't you?
I mean, if it does happen next year,
we'll see, yeah.
I do assist Chuck in helping to run the Age of Sigmar stuff.
Yeah. Not that there's super secret stretch goals. We keep goal oriented on the stuff ahead of us, the things we can see. Right.
There's super secret stretch goals that
you can come to ACO next year with me and Marty.
Which one's that?
In New Jersey.
The new one that you just did. Yeah. You know what?
I've
been in New York City like several times at length, and I've never ever like went to the dark side, like like the Mufasa meme where like, everything you see before you.
Once
you don't even come to my Brooklyn tournaments.
Once you get to the Verrazano, you don't really.
It's Verrazano. It's Verrazano. You gotta say it like this.
Potato, okay.
All right. So
which one of us is Italian?
This is what you get for this is what we get for no one in New York having a Twitter account other than Joe Pagano, but that's fine.
Well, this is what you get for Northeast content creator. It's us.
Yeah. No, yeah. I was going to ask the RO. I talked about it a little bit earlier. I was going to ask them, but then I realized like the blocks that I was having freed up last year, they're like, that's too late for me. And I'm like, do I even ask them or not? Because it's like I had midnight, 8 a.m. or midnight, 8 p.m., which is 9 y'all's time, right? Like, so I had 9 o'clock, midnight, and like 6 a.m. And I'm like, well, maybe they do 6 a.m., but like I had to get Chat Gang has to be a block that is in here meaningfully. It can't be like I've got one flex slot, so Chat Gang's at 4 a.m. That's not how that works.
You're an hour behind. Where are you located, friend?
He's Wisconsin.
Milwaukee.
Yeah. Said that. It's fine.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, we say Milwaukee because the only way you've heard of Sheboygan is if you remember the one John Candy scene from Home Alone.
Doesn't Jay-Z shout it in a rap song too?
Possibly. There's really weird niche.
I don't.
Sheboygan's the freshwater surfing capital of the world, which is a weird thing to be famous for. But it was so specific, I thought it wasn't a thing, and then I had to naturally look it up, and I'm like, okay, it's a thing.
Or you just watch Red Letter Media, and then you learn everything you need to know about Southern Wisconsin.
Right, because it's dope as hell, right? Midwest represent.
Well, so I spent time in Eau Claire.
I went to college in Eau Claire. I went to UWEC.
It's not the worst. I actually enjoyed my time there.
I actually have fond memories of Eau Claire, largely because of the people I spent the time with, but they also have a low-key great food scene. Food, again, I got pizza here.
Haven't you
you slung some.
No, I haven't eaten yet.
There.
Yeah, you haven't eaten since 10 o'clock this morning.
The cheese.
Yeah, it's mukbang time, everybody. I'm gonna do social eating.
Late. We just had what was it?
Tres Leches cake.
Tres Leches cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It tastes like tapioca cake.
It's homemade, except it doesn't taste like tapioca because it doesn't have that god awful consistency.
I see. I don't
love
mind.
that is-
I don't mind tapioca pudding. I like tapioca.
Love it.
Marty, you
That
like
is-
rice pudding? You look like you look like you like rice pudding.
Trunzo showing up saying Wisco is the best, repping Eau Claire. I like again, low key great food scene. The pad thai is pretty much nationally famous.
Live.
Yeah, you're live to a few hundred
Yes!
people.
We're on the RantCast,
Hello.
man.
107 people right now. And it's been
wow.
fluctuating.
I'm
There's
sorry, all
Egg Rolls
100%.
Plus has some of the best egg rolls you will ever have in your life. They're called Egg Rolls Plus, but they might as well just be called egg rolls because like you really don't get anything else there. Sometimes you get like a boba tea or a bubble tea depending on your vernacular.
Yeah.
You get like a bubble tea and an egg roll, and that's it. And if you don't order the chicken egg rolls early enough, they run out every time, every day. I think it's either chicken or shrimp. Always run out.
I love egg rolls. I love pizza egg rolls.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of pizza.
I don't know.
I do have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
What?
So say at the end of the year,
I'm gonna switch out the. I'm gonna put the block prize that we're going for right now, and then you can ask. Hang on.
gotcha.
Oh, what's your block prize?
I
was
think we
watching
are.
earlier
I
this
think we're the
evening.
Slanesh army this time.
Ooh,
Oh
this
yeah,
next
I am a degenerate. So
Skanky boys.
Yeah, I think it's the Slanesh army. Oh no.
That's
Oh.
It's for you, buddy.
We've got to be dainty.
Sure.
It's Elves time.
Oh, it's
Abs-
Lumitoots.
It's Luminous Whelmlord.
Yeah.
I did it.
Do I get to talk about elves for an hour or not?
You
Uh,
you
can
were gonna
try,
ask
but
me a
we're not
question
saying
first,
lucky
and then
this
you
time.
can.
Well, I was gonna say because like I was thinking about like events and whatnot, and I was like, and granted, this is because of COVID, this may not be possible. It was just like an idea I had floating in my head. I was having a call. I was talking with Paul, Mortal Realms Paul, and I was joking in the Mortal Realms server that for the amount of people that are like not only good like known players of Age of Sigmar, but like internet personalities after a fashion within our niche fandom in the greater Milwaukee, Wisconsin area, none of them seemed to play at the same game store. And I found that hysterical because sometimes, especially in our area, like there are 2 or 3 game stores where like you're bound to find 4 or 5 clubs driving an hour to play each other. It's almost the opposite dynamic. So my question is say before Christmas time this year, depending on restrictions, like how safe people feel like to game at stores. If I were to make a weekend trip out to, a game store in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and challenge people to games, which one should I pick?
I always liked Battle Brothers. It's centrally located right near Wisconsin State Fair. So, like, if you know how to get to Wisconsin State Fairgrounds, which you should because it's all signage is everywhere, you can get to Battle Brothers. They've got a corner store where you can get coffee on one side, a Subway on the other side where you can get nosh. And then it's just this nestled in there. They've got about 6 tables. They operate it at a loss. Like it's like 3 co-owners. One of them's like a Milwaukee police officer with like his pension or whatever, and it's just like three like friends who grew up playing Warhammer own a game store because they always wanted to, and they just operate it at a loss just so that people have a place to go to, and they're all just it's pretty cool. The people there are cool. The tables are solid. I mean, and it's just all it is Warhammer. They don't even they might sell like card sleeves or something like that just to pretend that they're a retailer. But like it's pretty much all it's just Warhammer tables .store.
Sure.
So I've always liked Battle. Otherwise, it's literally just Brendan's basement. Like
all right.
That's
Good
like
to
it's
know.
otherwise it's just Brendan's basement. I don't know where else other people play in Milwaukee. That's where I used to play. I used to play at GW Greenfield, which is also Milwaukee, but
But
I used
now
to play at
that's a
GW.
table and a half now.
What's that?
I said, well, now all Warhammer stores, basically in the Western Hemisphere, are like a table and a half now because they're not really meant for community. They got out of the community center business like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Allentown one's tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, but the people there were
Right. Oh, yeah,
They-
for sure.
they weren't the beer and pretzels like dad gamers that I am. That I look for. Like if you want a competitive game, like Heywoah and I will
No.
like grind games and try to, or like we'll arrange like a play date. But if I show up at the store, I'm like, it's like how I play EDH. I have 4 decks with me. I show up to the store. I'm like, what kind of game do people want? And sometimes I just want to like, I've gone out of my way to get down here to play a game. I'm not interested in being a grog right now. I just want to have fun.
Right. It was more like I would like to try and get a game in or two with a bunch of my Midwest friends, and I obviously wouldn't be able to do it with all of them, so I would just pick a spot and say, hey, I'm going to be here this weekend. Who wants to get a game in that feels like, up to it? And I might put that out there with friends.
Why you put it on Twitter? That's the best avenue.
Because
you keep talking about Twitter.
I know, because...
Should I get a Twitter, Marty?
That's up to you. It depends on how much you want to
have a Twitter. Because
it depends on how much you really want to get out of it.
Look at how I look into the camera. I'm like a grandpa with technology and shit.
No, I think your best bet is actually maybe using Brennan as a point of contact, because like a lot of gaming happens in that man's basement.
or Pants Mafia.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the story.
More about this Pants Mafia.
I think correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mephisto, and I'm pretty sure this is incorrect, but I think it's a funny story anyway. I had assumed Pants Mafia came out of Wapaka, as in all of the gentlemen who were walking around in the sub-zero snow temperatures with shorts on, and they were called the...
That's probably a way better story than the actual story, so I'm going to let you believe that.
Okay.
Never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Right.
No,
it's
if
go ahead.
No, I said if you can count on one type of nerd to wear shorts in sub-zero temperatures, it's a Warhammer nerd. That's because there's one shot from Nova, believe it or not. Granted, it's not cold weather, but every single person, regardless of gender, in the shot is in cargo shorts.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's the benefit of having high blood pressure and cholesterol.
Yeah, I remember. It was hotter than Satan's asshole. This was in Virginia too.
Oh yeah.
And we're also 3 floors.
Look at Chat Gang showing up. West Bend is about half an hour northwest of Milwaukee. Hobby Nights there has 8 to 10 tables and runs tournaments. Great store, but there won't be players there just ready to play. It'd be a good venue to invite.
Sean needs an invite to the Discord. I will send him an invite if that's all right.
Yeah. Don't send him to an invite to this channel. Send him an invite to Arcane Sanctuary or something so I can drag him down. Otherwise, he won't be able to get in.
Well, no, he's never been in your Discord before at all.
Yeah, so you do the thing where you click the little human icon. Maybe you can't do this. Create invite. Copy. And then, I don't know where...
Sean's going to be so happy you're in.
Just DM it to me on Twitter, and then I'll just forward it to Sean.
Sounds good.
Rowdy, you can't physically look into the camera.
Nobody likes dead air. We're live, boys.
No, it's fine.
Hello.
We'll be all right.
They're used to it.
Yeah. Well. I mean, I could always talk about my army for an hour.
No.
How about I talk about your
let me
for an hour, Marty?
Yeah. How about this? Rowdy talks about Lumineth Realm Lords from the perspective of having seen them for 5 minutes in a figure case.
And you get a point for every time he makes up a fake word.
That's fine.
Yeah. I see we're approaching Chat Gang drinking game hours now. Like, it's like.
What's the story with the guy on the cloud, Marty?
Plainview opened up like 4 years ago. Yeah, I was out of Milwaukee 5 years ago. So, when my daughter was born, we moved out. It's weird. Like, I used to gauge things by like the grade I was in. Then it was the like what era I was in college. Then it was what job I worked. Then it's like when my kids were born. And like I don't know dates. I just know those eras of existence. I
sent it to Sean, but that was like 10 minutes ago. He may have just given up and just like walked away from his computer, which is fine.
I was planning a trip down to Madison sometime here soon, so I can play a couple of my friends who have begun to congregate in Madison, and I haven't seen Heywoah physically as a human in person since the last Wapaka.
Yeah.
And
I need a
we have
rematch
birthday
versus him.
presents for each other
This
and
is
shit,
what I'm
because
weird.
it's just
Is this what it's like when people listen to me talk?
Yes, typically. These are all tournaments and stuff out in the Midwest.
Tournaments and apparently in
people,
person.
yes, and people that have Twitter accounts, right?
You know what? I might make
They're on
my,
social media.
my Twitter handle is gonna be like, hey Marty, it's Rowdy. That's gonna be
the
my
name.
Twitter name.
The name is just gonna be Hey Marty, it's Rowdy.
Jared, help me set this up.
I will do this tonight.
so.
I'll
No,
at you, Marty.
It's fine. I first of all, I need a game versus you, Mr. Mephisto. I
It's
would
true.
like that.
It's true.
I would also like a rematch versus Heywoah. Rowdy, this is a story specifically for Rowdy, because you've heard Sean or Jared call me in a silly tone, "good painter, Stormcast man," to some effect. Correct?
Those are words that I have heard.
Okay.
Not in that order, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Excellent.
Martin.
Yeah.
It's your show right now. You're in charge of Rantathon. Remind everyone, donate $5 during the next 2 hours. You could win this box of Lumineth Realm Lords.
1-855-3499.
Wow.
PBS.
$50
that is not a
total
PBS.
throughout, and you're
Yeah.
entered to win the grand prize, which is Soulblight Gravelord's army.
Yeah, I'll just
as
go
far as
over-
the hat, this is just for swag. Milwaukee Bucks, champions.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna eat some pizza and mute myself.
I'm a Knicks fan, so I tried. My heart was broken.
Absolutely, and I do have the chat up on my phone, so I can actually look at questions and such sparing. Yeah.
Let's see if they got any questions for me.
I doubt it.
Yes. Well, I mean, well, first of all, Rowdy, why don't you introduce yourself to strangers from around the world?
Hello, strangers from around the world. I am Rowdy. There you go. Self-explanatory. Marty did it for me.
I was about to say you're some of the wonderful glue that keeps the Philadelphia Age of Sigmar community a wonderful and just a shining jewel in our part of the world for playing Warhammer.
Stop it, Marty.
You're
That's
gonna
a
make him
glowing review.
Rowdy is also our HR representative for the Basement Wargamers.
I am also the official
Like the mascot.
fucking Buck
Yeah.
Wild Boy.
Ty asks a very pertinent question here. Can Rowdy tell us the best way to go 0-5? I found 1-4 is attainable, but I really struggle not winning game 5.
Oh,
Do it.
well, listen. First, you gotta make sure that you break math. In a situation where I have to roll 10 dice, I have to roll above a 2, I will statistically roll 8 1s and 2s. So I can play the game, but I can't roll dice.
It's like reverse microwaving dice.
Yeah, it's
It's
like
just making them bad.
Rocco added play Stormcast after they become bad. So usually late in the cycle.
Play
Like
Siege
before,
when they're terrible.
yeah, play Zinj when they're terrible.
or no,
Listen,
Zinj.
I
Zinj-
just like to push my models and have fun.
we're
I
gonna
like
we're gonna
talking to
give we're
strangers.
gonna shake and choke. Play Zinj Mortals. I guess right now play Slanesh Mortals. Like take
Yeah, they
take
suck. Yes.
yeah take what did Jordan have that one time I played him? 60 Bliss Bar
Bliss
Archers
Bar
that I played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He ran 60 Bliss Bar Archers and lasted like a turn and a half, I think.
Yeah, the game store we were playing at.
That's
our
half a
mutual
turn longer
friend-
than I would have expected, to be honest.
Well, what was slowing us down was a friend of ours who owns a game store, a guy named Mike D. Only recently, the game store's been open about a year, and it faces.
So many cops. Sorry, go on, Martin. I'm sorry for interrupting you, Marty. I don't like it when you yell at me.
So the game store faces the setting sun exactly, and the store is full glass windows. We have been pestering him for about a year to get blinds or curtains of some sort.
So I have an update. The blinds are in the back. They're just not.
Oh
up
my
yet.
god!
It's all metal. There's nothing but metal studs, Marty. What do we do? What do we do?
It's
You
called a
just keep
drill.
pushing-
It's literally called a drill. You just
drill.
No, you don't understand. We have all of the tools we could ever need. It's just getting our friend, the owner, to actually move his butt and get it done. And that'll take about.
That makes it sound like it's a user error.
I mean, also just a fair context. The store owner I've known since I was about like a high schooler, and he used to run the Games Workshop in South Jersey. He's a wonderful human being, but sometimes you just really need to you know,
Push him along,
yes, there we go. That's the best way to put it.
kick him in the ass.
Bring them to New York City for a tournament sometime. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, first of all, Dan Caraban, make a Twitter account. I don't know, do a live stream or two. He has like 2,000 followers on TikTok, and he makes funny Age of Sigmar videos. Or sometimes he'll just go to random like nerd shops in the like just the forgotten parts of New York City, and he'll find things. He found once in a TikTok video, someone was like at some bargain bin store. He found Warhammer Fantasy terrain, like new in box, sealed, that could go for $400 or $500 on eBay. And he's found it.
I've heard of Dan by reputation. I believe last year Dan was the one that said he was going to stay up all 27 hours of Rantathon. How'd that work out?
I have no idea. Dan, what happened? Hold on, we got Sean is in Trevinical.
To quote Samuel L. Jackson in Jurassic Park, the immortal words, "Hold on to your butts."
Here he is.
There he is. Where's your camera, Pookie? Let all of the world see
It's
you.
like the Golden Girls, except with Warhammer. It's so amazing. Like the conversation, like.
That's the Northeast. This
Sure.
is pretty much us.
Am I the one that eventually got Star Trek started?
Are you Gene
Roddenberry? No, I mixed up Betty White and
Lucille Ball?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Not bad, Dan. 23 hours, good job. Not bad at all.
Good job, Dan. I don't know you, but I'm proud of you.
Dan Caraban is one of the best players in New York City. I think if he had a little bit more availability, because he is a New York City public school teacher, so his hours are not
big respect. Big respect on that.
I think he would be able to do very well at certain tournaments that he is unfortunately unable to attend, because he is a person like as Vince has often said about Tom, where like if you need a developer, someone who is able to take apart the game and find the things where it's like, this is broken and it shouldn't be, this should be fixed, here's how to fix it. That is
big shout outs to you, Tonlin, as well. That's like Milwaukee has a reputation for like the tenacity with which one must teach to be there, and New York City is like double Milwaukee, so big respect.
And he found the stuff in the background of a video of a store in Oklahoma, which is still props, because way to surf TikTok that way and just find gems. It's like, is that because I remember like this was a group chat of just a small group of friends, and he was like, guys, puts a screenshot up, and it's like, of course the person's head is taking up most of the thing, but you can see in the corner on the top shelf the tower with Witch Fate Tour. It's just Witch Fate Tour, new in box, just sitting on a shelf up there. It's like that's cash money. Yeah. And we found another New York City public school teacher too. Dan, message them, see if we can get them to come to Brooklyn tournaments. 2 weeks ago, last weekend, I ran. In addition to try and do stuff in the greater South Jersey area, I've also since 2016 I took over for someone who used to work at this. It's a gaming cafe in Brooklyn, running Age of Sigmar tournaments every other month. It's in Carroll Gardens.
Okay.
It's the hipster part of Brooklyn. It's and we were unable to do it. We did it the last one, which was a few weeks before lockdown began last March. We had 5 different clubs represented. We actually took over. I think you might have seen the pictures before. I always make sure to post the picture. It's not the biggest space. We take over that space. And when I say we got 18 people, that's a lot, especially for around here. Most of the people in New York City don't have cars, just because of they live in New York City.
Yeah.
But we had people from South Jersey I carpooled with, and I'm running the event. I live 2 hours away. We had people from the Philadelphia area, the More Better Gaming Club, not Basement War Gamers, Jared, to be clear. Do you even know the More Better Gaming Club, Jared? They're like Philly, like Central Philly, or like Showcase, which is already like a schlep for you. We had North Jersey, so like
there's
the
so
Maplewood
many
Hobby.
players in your area. You have some of like the highest population centers in
Right.
the country, and yet I know none of them.
Right, and we to be
We sadly
like,
keep to ourselves. It feels like.
well, that is the other thing.
Like they
Like,
call
I think,
they call the Midwest like the Midwest Fortress, you know, like
right.
or the
Well,
Wall. But
in 2019, this had to be 2019 because this would not have been a question I asked last year for obvious reasons. But I was out of curiosity. I asked what is the average amount of drive time in hours you as someone who lives in the Midwest, and I just like, if you believe you live in the Midwest, answer this. Don't ask. If you think you live in the Midwest, reply to this tweet. How long in like would you say is the average for you to drive to a GT? And I think the average came out to like around 5.5 to 6 hours.
Jesus.
Yeah, but that's the camaraderie they have. Where over here, either through like just lack of communication or just we have fewer hobbyists in our part of the world, or our part of America, I should say. When I said that we filled like 5 different clubs filled a 16-person tournament, that's just the type of numbers we're coming up with. That's why I think people like what Basement War Gamers does in I guess the greater Philadelphia area is so important to our community. It's a real gaming club, like, you know, with members and dues. For everyone who doesn't know, Jared Nyman is the vice president of said gaming club. If you'd like to rep your, now is the time, Jared.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Sean is the president, but he might be having technical difficulties. So our club is the Basement Wargamers. We are out of southeastern Pennsylvania, mainly around the Phoenixville and Pottstown area. There is, I don't know, like 50 some. I think that we have full members, so we pay yearly dues to go towards doing big tournaments, group orders, stuff like that. Mike D, who is that we were talking about before, the owner proprietor of Palladium, also gives us 20% off as a club discount account, which is really nice. So, yeah, we do a lot. We try to travel as much as we can. At least some of us to other tournaments. We made it to Adepticon 2019, I guess it was, like pre-pandemic, basically. And then pretty much anything. Nova. Yeah, we go to Nova just about every year.
I met like 3,000 of the 4,000 people there.
Yeah.
I went 0-5.
Exactly. He had a lot of time to wander.
I like to go on adventures.
Yes.
If you will.
Well, that's
yeah.
No, that's why you like Is it just the Triumph? It is just the Triumph.
That's basically it. Someone in the chat was asking me because I'm apparently a Lumineth expert.
Lumineth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I just.
No, I just want to say that I think cross-pollination is super important for Warhammer events.
Yeah, that's been my number one thing. Because I back in 2015, 2016-ish, when the game was like very new and it was still raw for a lot of people, there was a lot of division. The main Cinderfall gaming groups, because the Facebook groups made by Luke were like the main places to talk about the game back then, for the people that liked it, because you either liked it or you walked away. You played Kings of War 9th Age, you kept playing 8th or whatever. Or you just walked away. Some people just walked away from miniatures and it's like, I'm ready to move on and do another hobby or something. And back then, Steve Herner was advertising. That was like the first big event I saw, like for the game. Like no one around here would like touch it. Like people in my backyard, specifically like South Jersey, who don't even play like Warhammer anymore, like at all. Jared, for context, they now go play with Nerdhammer. They play like out in yeah. I mean, nothing more need be said. They were insulting my intelligence, like my actual like brain capacity for enjoying Age of Sigmar. So it's like, well, if I can't play around here, I can either play in New York, because there was like one guy repping it at the Brooklyn Strategist, and there was Steve Herner's Holy Wars event. So I went to the very first Holy Wars. I took a plane out there. This was the first time I'd ever been out to the Midwest. And it was I took a rental car 45 minutes to a cornfield, and I met all of these people. Some of them I had heard about on forums. Like I've seen some usernames. Hey, you have to remember, I've lived in New Jersey all my life. When I say, like, why is there a hotel in the middle of a cornfield? That was my first experience with it. It's
Yeah,
I'm just laughing because there's nothing more Midwest than what you just told me.
that is
Sure.
that's
I
a
now
huge
understand
red
that.
flag.
I get that. Like when I was looking at to sign up for Michigan GT, like I was thinking about it, like because that's coming up. I was like, should I go to that? I'm looking around. I'm like, it's just a hotel in the middle of nowhere. Oh, yeah, that's normal. And I met a
Tim
bunch.
Allen's gonna be there, Marty.
Exactly. Tim
I'm
Allen
sure-
comes to every event in the Midwest. I don't know if you're aware.
Especially
That's what we're
Michigan.
told. That's what we're told in the Northeast, and you can confirm that or deny it, Meth. Is it true that Tim Allen comes to every single event?
I have no idea what they're talking about.
Who's Tim Allen?
He's in the middle of chewing.
Oh,
Who's
Home
Tim
Improvement.
Allen?
Home Improvement?
Oh, the Tim the Toolman Taylor, like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Buzz Lightyear?
Mm-hmm. No, I thought there was like some
Galaxy
person with like a
Quest?
like. I thought there was like a conveniently named New Yorker named Tim Allen or something like that.
No.
Oh no,
No, we're talking about the real Tim Allen here.
Unless-
Yeah, he quit coming as soon like when we stopped having cocaine. Unfortunately, like we quit having the cocaine parties.
That makes sense.
Hey, some people like that. I'm built for comfort, not for speed, bud.
Hold on, Sean sent a GIF. I think he's having computer problems because he sent me a very
Please describe the GIF.
no,
For the class.
no.
Donnie,
Especially-
Donnie, what do you call him, Donnie?
Like-
Marty, explain like the bouquet of colors in the gift for us, please.
It's Allison
This is
Till
so
doing
brutal, man.
a suicide gesture.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Wow. Fucking.
Aren't you glad that I even know who the actress is?
I am
Are we
surprised.
down to 57 now? I feel like we will be.
Yeah, we're done at 97. You're doing good.
Jeez, we
Oh,
lost a good fucking
negative
10.
10. Yeah, since you guys came
Should've
up.
listened to
I
Marty.
apologize. Yeah, and I haven't even talked about what I'm working on for my hobby yet, which is guaranteed to lose another 10 viewers.
Well, you brought the two guys that look closest to actual living dwarves onto the elf part.
Okay, so
yes.
I was asked before. I was asked a question while I was in Heywoah's stream. This was weeks ago, and it's a question. Sometimes you get a question, it just burns into your brain, and you can't answer it. And I was told to ask you, who are the most socialist? I think you told me, Martin, to ask Jared here. Who is the most socialist faction in Age of Sigmar, specifically Age of Sigmar?
Oh yeah, that yeah.
Most socialist faction. So immediately I think old world, I think dwarves, even though you would typically consider them capitalistic.
Well, like KO are like mega capitalists. That's like kind of what's funny about them is they're like super
KO are
super
KO
sky
are
capitalists.
100%
Yeah.
Free market economy, like
to the point where like their economy and their contracts, like they have some like libertarian ideals, like because libertarians believe in contracts, you know.
Yeah.
And like
I feel like I don't know. See,
Bloom Spike gets.
Yeah. Nah, they're more of an anarcho-capitalist.
But like they have socialized healthcare. Gloomspike have like healthcare.
True, and they have a wide array. They're very open with their medical fields. So I mean, that's always a
they certainly if we map them to like the current like political like the last 20 years of like political strata, they would have been the ones to legalize weed first, right? Like they would no problem legalizing weed.
You know what? I got it. Sons of Bahamut. I mean, they are 100% equal amongst all. Even the man crushers are like, "Hey, buddy, that's just his little friend that's coming along with him."
Dan Caraban says Sylvaneth.
Sylvaneth now.
When you have a thought experiment, it's not the answer's not necessarily as important as the justifications, right? Like
like Sylvaneth are eco-fascist.
Are they though? I don't get as much of an eco-fascist from Sylvaneth as I did like.
They turn into
like they don't go full poison ivy.
Oh, can I please introduce you to what's her name?
Drycha?
Yeah, Drycha Ham, whatever.
Hamadreth.
That one.
Hema.
Whatever Marty said, that one. She unleashes bees on people for fun. Like she is 100% an eco-fascist. Did she try to like commit a genocide of everything?
Oh, Papa Nurgle's not a bad intro or not a bad.
I like
Nurgle will share everything with you.
Nurgle almost feels more Buddhist. I don't know, just that.
But Buddhist isn't a political
True, yeah. It's more just.
Sons of Behemoth.
Well, that's Slanesh. Everybody's the same, and they just want to fuck.
That's definitely anarchist.
Yeah, but I don't want to add semantics to this conversation.
I feel like all this
I live
conversation.
For the semantics.
All this conversation is semantics.
No, it's just splitting hairs and defending your stance, right?
I love it.
Sons of Behemoth can't be the Man Crushers. Stop being ale guzzlers because they have to give all their ale to the megas to appease them and have the right to.
Ooh, so
no, that's just pure. That's just like feudalism. Yeah, like that's like
feudalism.
Yeah, that's feudalism.
Ogre kingdoms, I can't see them necessarily.
Ogre Maw tribes. The food is shared amongst the Maw tribe.
Is it? I thought they all had to hunt for themselves.
Yeah, but like.
Oh no, dude!
Stormcast don't have a.
Socialism like socialist ideals are fine with individuality. They view democracy and individual as essential to socialism working, right?
But that's
sorry, you go.
Yeah, I was about to say, well, because you just mentioned Stormcast, not all factions in Warhammer represent.
Oh no, they totally don't.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like Stormcast specifically do not. You like when people ask, it's like, well, do Stormcast have people? No, they are them. They are effectively Space Marines. They are the military. They are the living weapon of Sigmar.
Space Marine.
Lumineth Rumlords seems like a decent.
No, absolutely not.
No.
Oh wow,
yeah, they're super.
No. Well, I mean, like all high elf. First of all,
furrowed hard.
Yeah, if I may say a thing, and so the thing about Lumineth, first of all, is we can infer a lot about how they are very similar. This is why I keep calling them just like high elves, because a lot of the lore that is kind of left open to interpretation, if thought about for more than 5 minutes, leads you back to basically Warhammer Fantasy high elves, just with like a lot of Atla fan fiction. Well baked in, but it's still Atla fan fiction baked into what we know about high elves. That being said, we're not quite sure yet about what type of governments the different great nations have, but presumably from what is written about them, they're effectively elective monarchists, where you basically elect your king or you elect your provincial leaders.
Yeah.
But then they rule effectively like nobility.
Yeah.
Lumineth, with the exception of those who try to ascend the Teklian ladder, are really classist. It really sucks to be a poor high elf.
Yeah.
Like you're not only are you not living up to your peers, but you don't really have opportunities to live up to your peers other than to not die a horrific death as part of the Venari cast.
So Kernigat says Uruk war clans. Disagree. Good defense with the stronger together, but the fact that they have a full-on underclass, I think negates them being like they have a full-blown undercast. And you're not necessarily wrong about Nagash being a commie, because the whole thing is like commie, taking like authoritarian socialism is.
He's 100% a dictator.
But he's a total authoritarian. Like he is a pure. Yes, he is as totalitarian, authoritarian as one gets in. I think he's the most. He's probably the most like.
Bone Reapers.
Yeah, they still roll up under him, man.
Like he gave them a modicum of free will, which is why I would hear a commie argument over like just a pure totalitarian, regime totalitarianism. Because if you serve specifically the like authoritarian person, you're given a little bit of freedom, but like it's so.
Someone asked about theocracies. We technically, despite this being a Warhammer franchise, which tends to lend itself towards like a cornucopia of theocracies because the only way to really forward the Forever War without it, like, having to inject much logic about logistics is to create, like, more faith, like holy wars.
Mm-hmm.
The only ones I can really think of, aside from, like, chaos powers, are Daughters of Cain.
Yes.
Like most of the cities of Sigmar, even though it's like
would the city, since Sigmar would be a god, would that not be considered a theocracy, or is it because they still technically elect their council?
They have wings, so doesn't that mean they're
This
angels?
is the kind of content you want from a 30-hour show.
Absolutely.
About Warhammer raising money for talking about like the political affiliations of the art. I love this.
Yeah.
What's the foreign economic policies of the Wanderers?
Like this.
Nagash is feudalism. You're not wrong, but feudalism is not exclusive from totalitarianism. You tend to have totalitarian or authoritarian feudalist. So you're not wrong there. Yeah. But I do like the Bone Reapers gather exorbitant taxes and then distribute those taxes to their people by building them. Yeah, they literally go around it. Like the commie thing's not too far off because it's sort of authoritarian. It's not socialism, but it.
They're tankies.
Oh, come on! I didn't want to hear that word on a Warhammer stream.
Yeah, distracted. I mean, see, and Satrep, you've kind of I mean, that's the thing is like you have to kind of define the means of production to go on to to talk about it, right? And so like that means of production shifts depending on what you're talking about. Since we don't really have means of production, we don't really have resources. They're not really like.
It's not talked about.
Like commodities aren't really a thing addressed in the Mortal Realms. You just assume that this is how things exist. You don't.
They're not addressed in Warhammer settings because it's not to be too reductive. But you talked about this a few hours ago on the stream. I actually have been watching most of the blocks while hobbying today.
No purity tests here, man. Like watch what you can, donate when you can, signal boost if you can't donate, and just be entertained if you don't feel like signal boosting.
Oh my God! Head of the Mortal Realms podcast himself, Dasasios. I've never actually had to pronounce his name out loud.
I keep in my brain sees it, and you know how like we mostly just pattern recognize words and then just fill it in. Yeah. That's how we read. My brain just says Dos Equis every time I see his name. My brain just says Dos Equis, so I've never ever put in the time to pronounce it. And since there's an Aaron and an Eric. And I know which one's which, but I have to commit thought to which one's which. I try to not ever have to say who it is when it's not Paul.
Yeah, that's true. But he's unfortunately
this should be Aaron, right? That Eric.
Yeah, it's Aaron.
Yeah.
I called him Master Collector because he loves collecting Warhammer stuff.
Assuming direct control.
But he's not going to be happy because I was about to be devastatingly critical and slightly reductive of Black Library fiction.
Clearly it's Fire Slayers. Everyone's called Carl.
This is true. We are all Carl. All
Dos Equis. That's fine. That's actually
Dos Equis. Got it. Sorry, you were about to say something.
Oh yeah, it's just that we have to remember that this is the fiction written. Even though, like, I had a conversation with Phil Kelly in person. I was very fortunate to have that a few years ago. And 20 minutes with him is like it's one of those things where your perception of the entire fandom is changed after a 20-minute conversation, which is not a very rare thing indeed. But that being said, it's in service of a franchise which supports a product line of model kits. And you can only ever add or remove model kits. So it generally tends to, all of the lore that we enjoy either seeks to inspire our hobby or just promote and justify post hoc the release of new model kits.
Right.
So,
well, no, and here's the like, it's
supposed to be in the lore.
It's fun to do this. I think it's fun to analyze texts. That's what I mean, this is. A 300, 200 level course I got at UW Eau Claire, analyzing text. It's fun to do this for me.
Right.
But, like, otherwise I wouldn't have been an English Lit major. But, like, I really like to, like, have these fun thought experiments and then remind people it's for fun. Don't read too deeply into a product not meant to be read deeply into. Like,
Yeah,
games are meant to be fun. Like, I'll even defend 40K. Like, yeah, there's tons of fascism rolling around in its lore.
40K is one of the, like, it's a wonderful setting in terms
But-
of how it's created and how it's, like,
Great
endured.
40K,
But
that's
like,
my bread
you
and
don't
butter.
become a fascist because you play 40K. You know, like,
No,
and that's that. There's that narrative going around right now, and I
definitely not a
freaking
fucking
despise it.
fan.
Like, I just
our
despise
first
it.
F-bomb of the stream, by the way.
What was that?
What?
Our first F-bomb of the block.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Are you kidding? Have you heard me talk, Marty?
Yes, I have. I've listened to every word.
No. So it's like, no, I think it's like, you know, like, you can do these deep reads and have fun with these discussions. And again, I'm going to pivot a little bit to 40K, but like, some people just see the cool game with the sweet chain swords, you know?
Right.
Like, and
if you ever go to
fine.
Warhammer World, you
ahead.
will see people who are there not because of the lore. They're there because, oh my god, I get to play in a cool table with the models I just finished painting.
Yeah.
Like, especially families. Like, you want the I think an ideal for our hobby are families like the oh god, how do I pronounce their name? The Tachik the Partners at War family.
Yeah.
Pat Tachek, I think is how you pronounce. Yeah. Where it's like they're getting into the game or finding it after like 20 years, and like now they have teenage children who are also in the game. And I saw a lot of that when I've in my times I've been over to like Warhammer World or like bigger Games Workshop stores, and it's like, I think that's like what Games Workshop would prefer to be the ideal of the hobby. They're not there yelling at each other, talking about what Space Marines would actually be like, exalting some of the more problematic elements of lore in either or any of the settings, really.
Mhm.
It's not just 40K and Age of Sigmar Games Workshop sells, after all. Some people actually do read the Blood Bowl novels that they make.
Fantastic.
Not bad.
Good.
Oh, for sure.
enjoyed them.
If it's just like Mutant League football, if you ever saw the old cartoon,
Sure.
like, if it's just like that could be a lot. That could be really great popcorn reading.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
All right, I'm gonna go and leave this now. I love you all. Donate to the cause, and you're all wonderful. Meth, it was nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Martin,
Have a good one, Rally.
it's always a fucking pleasure.
Yeah.
Love you, baby.
We haven't even talked about mental health yet.
I mean, it's kind of because it is such a heavy subject. You know, I don't want to have people like I don't want to like press gang people into talking about mental health. You know,
I have no problem talking about it.
It occurs sort of organically. I think it is what we found over 30 hours. Everyone knows this. You know, if you're comfortable sharing or talking about it, like I got a lot heavier during the Vince block than I had intended to do the whole stream.
Yeah, I saw that, but it's good that we have chances to talk about it. Like, I tried to say something like on my birthday. I think Rowdy said it best, albeit very colorfully, and then I don't really kiss and tell. And I just try and leave that out of like my hobby content, because I think it one thing that we did see over COVID as new people got into the hobby, or like became vocal about them enjoying the hobby. And I can't really group people into one category more than that. Like, we saw a lot of people, especially like on social media, who maybe have always painted figures, whether it's for D&D, Warhammer, or just to paint them because they like them. They started posting more.
Yeah,
about
like
it
Gunpla
online.
is sweet, right? Like, and like, you know, there's just people who like collect and build sweet robots and want to paint sweet robots. And then they're like, man, I'm running out of sweet robots to paint. Like, ooh, sweet dragon. And then, you know, like, awesome. I love it. You know, like, shit gets so heavy so often on all this stuff. It's like, I want to like punch my own avatar on the screen and be like, why is it like, you know, it's just, it's fun to remember fun, especially in the hard times. Go ahead. Sorry.
I have a good story that ties all of the things, including everyone in this chat, together. Well, I was excuse me. In 2019, I missed Summer Slaughter because I went to Warhammer World for the open day. People on Twitter will remember, because we made a meme where we left a seat empty in the preview seminar as the honorary Vince Venturella chair because Vince could not make it that weekend. So I became the Warhammer Weekly correspondent, sitting in the front row at the thing. But I had missed a very fun tournament run by Jared and Sean Feather, who could not be. He's just having computer issues to the point where he is posting angry gifs in the group chat. Just the three of us. Oh, he's trying again. Is it going to work?
Yeah, we'll see.
No.
Unmute the mic if you can. No, we'll see. Keep going.
For some reason, yeah. And so I was like, yeah, I definitely want to make it next year because normally I have to drive like 13 hours to Adepticon, 6 hours to Du Bois. Nova, I volunteer to help run, just because I also wanted to like just do so many things. I never really get to take advantage of having a tournament like effectively an hour from me. And it's run by cool guys, and I wanted to do it. And of course, with 2020, that couldn't happen. And some other stuff that was going on in my life that is just not necessary to talk about. Where it's just like I needed something to, just occupy my brain instead. And luckily, Games Workshop decided to release The Army of My Dreams, and then do it again for some reason in a very anti-consumer fashion, but still double dipping.
It's like when you're in it, you're like, yes, I do want more of my stuff, but like you should feel a little bit bad about the nature of it,
right?
Yeah, how upset would I truly be if I got more OBR like 2 months after I got OBR and I bought a battle tome? Not very, right? Like, go ahead.
And also, it should be known that all of this stuff was done before the coronavirus. So if there was no coronavirus last year. Both books, I think, as far as I understand it, based on my estimates, and this is not from any inside information. I'm a detective after a fashion, so me understanding like the release schedule and like average development time, I believe book 2 of Broken Realms and thus the second half of Lumineth were supposed to be the December/Christmas release, which means that we were supposed to have gotten effectively 2 LRL battle tomes in the same calendar year, which would have been the story. Certain people we know to be loud and critical of Games Workshop would have been talking about that nonstop.
Still,
and and the coronavirus helped stretch that out a little bit, even more than intended.
And bought them some sympathy, and as well you should. It's hard. It was hard on everybody.
But I still don't understand why that whole thing happened. And even if I go back to Warhammer World and ask them like why, they might not be able to tell me, even if like. Like I asked them in an official, like at a convention or something. It's like, why did this happen? How did this happen? And stuff like that. For only nerds, like very few people in this hobby actually give a shit about how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
And so it's ultimately not important. What is important is I said I thought High Elves were gone, like period. And like it's also like chic. In other franchises right now, to really just take a shit on the tropes surrounding High Elves, mostly because we're bored of them. Peter Jackson kind of made it like even more of a thing, like for like High Elves to just like be a thing in every setting, if not Wood Elves, where they're better than they're effectively the master race after a fashion. And so it's like, oh, okay, I thought Games Workshop was doing that too. Because of Deepkin and Daughters of Cain, they're not normal like what we consider to be elves.
Well, it's the whole thing is right now like we saw this happen to like vampires and everything too, which is why like Soulblight like super endears to me because they're monsters again. But like we saw like we had this whole period of like 30 years of pop culture media try to remix the vampire because just classic sweet ass monster ass vampires were just like, ugh, it's done too much. I got to tell you why my vampire is different. And it's like, I don't want your different, stupid vampire. I want evil, malicious, bad dude, monster vampires. Like, like, go on.
Yeah, and in 2018, after I had, like, taken Stormcast to, like, a few GTs, I was like, I should try and make High Elf, like, for narrative events or, like, for Raw. Like, because I really want to go to Raw. Jared, have I ever told you about Realms at War?
No.
Think if
is that the Chuck thing?
Chuck went once.
Real quick, we got a couple donations to read. So remember, $5, you could win a sweet LRL box. It's so we got let's go all for a good cause. $5 from Drimp. Thank you so much. Next block, next donation. Just got $5. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Dan Caraban donated so Martin can show us his beautiful miniatures. I think you're gonna have to show us some beautiful miniatures now.
Oh sure.
Des, I don't even like elves, but I have friends that do. See, there you go. That learning to see the world through the lens of other people's passion.
That's a unit champion I'm working on. Yeah, actually, I can see that pretty well on camera.
Yeah, he looks good, man.
It's this is an old High Elf mage, I think made in 2002. I am turning him into a unit champion for my big block 20 Sentinels. I will wrap up the story quickly. I know it's been going a little long.
Couple more donations. You can get back to your story. Lexalopolis, that's a doctor to you. Christian needs more spears. Donated $5. Thank you so much. Snitbag, cheers to the odds. Cheers to you, my friend. $5. And then Tyrant Mania, Slanesh demands sacrifices from Lumineth. $6. You love to see it. Love the shade. And then Glitch saying big $5.07. Nice. Nice. All right, so back to your story. Sorry.
So just quickly for Jared, because I think a lot of people know what Realms of War is, but it's effectively if you mix Warhammer and like the PA Ren Fair after a fashion. The club that runs it out of Cambridge in the UK, they're all experienced DMs and stuff for D&D, like and hobbyists and storytellers. And since Age of Sigmar started, they've been running a narrative campaign weekend called Realms at War. And it really is for everyone. I've often equated it to like a swimming pool. You can play in the shallow end or you can play in the deep end with the people who are like continuing to roleplay into the dead of night as their characters from day 1 into day 2, and stuff like that. But really, there are certain people like more narratively inclined from across the UK who are just master hobbyists, like Hollywood professional level, and the amount of storytelling and stuff that they do with their figures is almost beyond equal. And I was thinking, if I was ever going to try and bring High Elves back after a fashion, if Games Workshop was truly done with them, I would make, back then it was a Grand Alliance Order army. Like, I would only take this to narrative events. It's going to be terrible. You can't really win with it. And I would just try and bring it back with the stuff I had gotten from, like, old world kits, maybe mixed with some, like, Deepkin and stuff like that. And the idea just kind of stewed. And then Cities of Sigmar came out, and it was like, ooh, I could do this in Cities of Sigmar. And
I love the cities.
and I was also getting, like, they were nodding that they're like High Elves were going to come back in the lore. So it's like, I better test out how I can just push my hobby to the next level in a narrative capacity. And enter Meth, my Celtic Viking vampires. And I even asked you to read some of their lore when I wrote like a Game of Thrones style story. We're just like taking each of the characters and just like absolutely
POV
pushing
switches and stuff.
Just pushing what I could do with them as a hobby. I took them to one event, one best painted there, and it's like, it's done. I've done what I needed to. And then in January of 2020, hey, High Elves are back. And I'm like, I'm in. And they came in at the right time when I was feeling just like I really couldn't go out and see anyone. I went through a bad breakup right as COVID started, and I needed to focus on something else. And I said, well, if I have all of this time, I might as well absolutely do the thing I always wanted to do, which was make a Lumineth army, or like a High Elves army after a fashion, but truly unique to everyone else's stuff. And I have put in so much time and love and effort, and the first wing of that project is almost done. I have shown people teasers over the past year of like I have commissioned art for it. I am doing more than just making an army, but I hesitate to really say the big picture because I would, for next Adepticon, like the Adepticon is really where I get going to be able to show off the whole thing. But in 2 weeks, and I'm still painting, Jared. The last 10 models are right here. That's why it's 5 more Dawn Riders, 4 archers.
Did you switch your list up?
No.
Keep it the same one we did?
Yeah. And I've been getting games in with it too.
Good.
I just sorry, I don't want to cut you off. Go on.
This is basically it. It's like I have only so much left, and the Friday of the event, I'm going to set it up in the hall, and I'm going to take some professional pictures, and I have a longer tweet draft saved that I'm just going to slot the pictures into. Thank a bunch of people who've been helping me over the past year. I have gotten in contact with some very hard to reach people for input on this project, including people I don't want to really name right now until the finished thing is out there. And it's not like, and it's just for advice, because it's like, I wanted this to not just be an award-winning army. I wanted this to be special.
Well, it's yourself on the table, right? Like
yeah.
it's yourself on the table. It's struggles, it's adversity. You've poured your soul into this thing.
Absolutely, and it's frustrating that Lumineth are so frustrating to play against. I was going to play them no matter what because I like High Elf Lives.
We can fix that some.
Well, yeah.
I mean, part of the NPE experience is like a willingness to learn other people's armies, and
that too. But like, I was on Vince's shows twice talking about this for probably about 7 hours total. It's a mess. There are different ways to fix it, but of course, this is what we have right now. This is how Lumineth work.
It's okay.
People are going to play against Lumineth players who are bringing Lumineth to an event to win, and their armies are not going to look like mine. People, even if I win those games, and like when I play against my club mates, and I use the Cathalar to make a 6-man Varangard unit just evaporate on a battle shock test, because I said, no, you're taking my battle shock test for me. I think they're not going to feel as bad because they're going to see from my army that I gave more than a shit, and that helps me feel better in my games against people.
Well, I think
it really does.
It should, and that's the thing is like, I mean, this goes to something I've been meaning to make a. So one day I will. Meph and truck videos we're going to segue into like another sort of like side series I wanted to do, of video essays on just like I love his name's I believe it's Michael Saba. He releases one great video like every 6 months, and it is like
Nerd City.
Huh? Yeah. It is like the perfect video, and he doesn't conform to any particular brand. Like, he's got Animu videos. He's talked about Doom. He did the Street Fighter video that I still love and watch when I want to feel better. Like, it's one of those things, like, it's in my part of my, like, I call them quiet moments. Like, I have these little, like, rituals that help me feel better. I can talk about that for mental health in a minute. And like, it's when I'll just watch the It Was Tuesday, like, him gushing over Raul Julia and how even bad art is good through the right lens, because camp, what does bad art do? Why do I love Big Trouble in Little China beyond its perfect script, right? That I could write a thesis paper on how great the script is. Why do I love it so much? Because in a sense, it's bad. There's a certain badness that breaks through all the BS and reminds us why we love what we love. Like, a bad movie, to make a bad movie, and this is me just paraphrasing Saba's point, because to make something that is bad, you still go through all the processes to make something great. And in a way, like, bad stuff can remind us of the process in a way that something great and polished doesn't.
Yeah. One of my favorite Warhammer Weekly episodes of all time, and yes,
is Tom and Gary P getting sloshed and talking about KO?
No, it was the first. It was the
so good. God, that was great.
No, it was.
God.
It was I think it was from last January. So yes, I think it was the second KO. Yeah, I think it was the second KO show. It was one of the KO shows, and I've never really opened the book. I don't like really playing, like, I'm an elf guy. Like, Are you really going to ask me to like even though the Jules Verne dwarves are so cool, like, those models are, I wish there were more of them. I wish there was more than one troop type other than Argonaut Company and the Balloon Boys. Like, they need more.
You got other ones.
And, they need,
a gun list.
From a world building perspective, they need more costumes in their faction. I think that there's
more visual interest, right? Like, they literally just need
more variety.
Yeah,
because they really only have the one suit costume so far. I would like to see more build on that.
There's a lot of neat stuff in the lore too that they could bring out between the brigantine ship.
The
lore
really felt when they started doing.
I'm getting this scatterbrained this early, everyone. We're gonna have trouble. Go on.
What?
No, I said I'm getting. This is like more of an aside. Like I'm getting this scatterbrained this early. We're gonna have trouble.
Gotcha.
Finish your point. And I'll go back to.
First of all, get these chocolate caffeine bites. Anyway,
Will do.
No, it's more almost like red letter media when they dissect bad movies. Just them when Vince and Tom got into like teacher mode, as I like to call it, and they went through. Here is why the design is bad. Even if these are good units and this army will do well in games, here is why the design is bad.
Yeah.
And I feel like after a fashion I took away from that a little bit when I rather did not. I was unable to contribute as much as them because they're skilled and learned game designers. I'm just a super fan who knows how to talk. That's about it.
Yeah. Drug Lord Martin. Everyone. Martin's on drugs.
Yes.
Caffeine's a drug.
Sure. And there's just so much I think you could do with Lumineth, but to get this back to what you were saying about the process and making art, one of the things I should probably just add this to the tweet, the video links that I can recommend to people. For me, it's like art is a series of choices. Like even the movies that we all hate, or here's a good example: Mass Effect 3. The ending of Mass Effect 3 is a series of choices that human beings made.
Too soon.
And
too soon. If you want to see me like, speaking of, if you want to see me tee off on Mass Effect 3 and have to stream it live, not during my normal RantCast show, if you watch me only for Warhammer content. But one of the milestones, what is that? Was that 7,000? At $7,000 raised for Mental Health America, I will have to put myself in mental health peril and play through Mass Effect 3, a game I don't acknowledge to exist. Continue.
Well, for me, it's well, if we want to go back to the mirror end, like art being made. Have I ever told you about the natural dyes video? It was made by the Victoria and Albert. It's a video about this. It's almost like this hermit style hut somewhere in Japan. I forget the actual province, but they make textiles using only natural plant-based dyes. It's almost ASMR for those who want that sort of thing. But for you, this is something you need to put like on your big screen TV, because you need to watch this in like the most HD possible.
Yeah.
There's barely any sound. It's called In Search of Forgotten Colors. And it's about 20 minutes of how, just almost without sound, there's just a little bit of text at the bottom of how they make all of the different, like they make red, purple, yellow, just as an example, using just the process of turning the flowers into the dye, putting the dyes in the clothing.
So it's like visual ASMR, basically. It's like
sure. And some of them are like Hayao Miyazaki essays. And just I've tried to apply all of that tactileness. Another good one is just go back to Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. Watch all of the 15 hours behind the scenes stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That, first of all, that's specifically hobby fodder, because they go in depth on how the miniatures are made, and like for all the different sequences and stuff. And a lot of that you can use to make terrain for tournaments and stuff, and just make your scenery look better.
Shoutouts to Travis with the tweet, all the flats for Rantathon. I hope you actually called in your order for whatever your favorite wing place is, and you're like, only flats, no drums. Drums, get the fuck out. I really hope that's what happened.
Tristan, what are you talking about?
One real quick, hey Lulu.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, how's it going?
Donations? Donation?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Corgi.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
hi, Corgi.
Corgi spotting, Mochi sighting. Yeah, I've got some donations to read. Real quick, let's refresh this because we might have had some more come in since. Oh, we have had a couple more. Where was I? Christian needs more spears. We got there. Big. We got that. Here we go. Dosesos says, Dos Equis from the Mortal Realms podcast, the best lore podcast around. Go follow right now. I'll wait. Done? Okay, good. Grab your hammers so we can clear a path through mental health. Donates $20. Thank you so much. Rocco Yupoy, Settlers gain models and for a good cause. $5. Thank you so much. Azure Weekly, Just talking about how Azure Weekly on Twitter has the greatest like Warhammer satire paper. Here we go. Perfect. I could dissect this with a thesis on how you do good satire. Editorial. Property rights are the cornerstone of thriving civilization, and that's why Sigmar needs to stop stealing my souls. Nagash. So, like, it's written as an editorial, and the flawed perspective of Nagash, how we often prop up editorials as, like, news and, like, facts and stuff. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Plus a little, like, takedown of capitalism there. Top tier stuff. Top tier stuff. Match says, thanks for everything you do. $5. No, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting a great cause. Tomb King Tristan, make it high a yelf, but sexy. They over enunciated. Donates $6.69. Nice. The Lord Werrell says Big Trouble in Little China is the GOAT. $5.69. I agree. It's fantastic. Going back to like we like things that are bad for the same reasons we like things that are good a little bit. Like it's like the point I was trying to make is like it's really easy to kind of bury the lead in Warhammer talking about all the like crap. You know, I get fatigued on the internet. Like I'm a person who says hot takes and like isn't shy about his opinion on things and stuff like that. But like I have to tap out from the internet sometimes. Like, you know, I'm not one for toxic positivity either, you know, like the pull yourself up by your bootstraps, just think good stuff and good stuff. You know, like I'm not one for that. Trust me. If you're around me enough, I think people know. But like toxic positivity where you dismiss people's sincere emotions and just tell them to like suck it up and enjoy it. I don't care for that either. But there is a difference between being toxically positive and trying to be positive. And I think we conflate the two. And part of it comes back to the point I was trying to make when I mentioned I want to segue into making like Saba stuff where like I make Warhammer stuff, yes, as a focus, but I just want to once every 6 months release this great video on whatever the heck I feel like, you know? And the thing that I've been kicking around for the longest time is good faith versus bad faith interaction and how it pertains to nerdery. And the difference taking someone in good faith on the internet, even people you think that are operating cynically or like even people who you do think operate from a place of cynicism and bad faith, right? If you take them in a good faith like light and then try to talk to them in good faith, you'd be surprised how like much better one you look in the optics of the whole exchange, but two, just like how much better your peace of mind feels if you don't think the whole world who blasts a Twitter post out is like at you. You know, this whole, like, is somebody vague booking me? Is somebody vague posting me? Like, if you just...
I will be right back. I'm going to refill water and stuff. So,
yeah,
Jared,
sounds good.
you have the floor.
Yeah, sounds good. I don't know how to, like, say that with enough nuance to get across a point I'm trying to make about not dismissing people's... Like, you know, if someone feels bad, like, you know, Vanilla Sauce is one of the best dudes you will ever meet in any respect. Like just a sincerely compassionate human. When Soulblight or when Sons of Behemoth came out, he was genuinely perplexed because it wasn't the army he wanted. Oh, hey, there you are, Vanilla Sauce. He was genuinely perplexed and like just to like he just like needed room to talk about how bad he felt about the thing. And, you know, that's what, like, with Chat Gang and, like, in my chats and, like, DMs and stuff, I try to, like, let people have that space to voice their negativity and the bad feelings. But imagine, like, if I, like, even if in a discussion with someone like Vince, where I'm like, I don't think this army's bad, I think it's a solid army, you know, like, the type of stuff I'd say to Vince, if on a Twitter post I say it to somebody who's, like, venting their sincere emotions about not getting the army they wanted, I look like an asshole. Like, I'm not only do I look like an asshole, I'm being an asshole to tell them, suck it up, Buttercup. You don't get to feel negative about this thing because it's still a great army and it's going to win tournaments. But to, like, give people space to... Go ahead. Go ahead.
To take that online and try and get that level of nuance and just text, it's
that's why you kind of got to take people in good faith. Or you're... And it goes... That's the thing is it goes both ways, right? Like, if I say a criticism to you, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's just going to enumerate the number of bad faith people too. There has to be some kind of dividing line or like a checkpoint where it's obvious enough that
But
it's obvious.
At a point, like, yeah, I mean, if you're name calling somebody something, or you're taking what is an empirically bad stance by all of human history, you don't get my you don't get my, like, all good faith interaction and every interaction you have with a human needs safety rails. We all, like, in just, like, some, I talked about earlier, I kind of, like, dumped a little bit on chat, which, we're here for mental health, so in the context it felt all right. But if I just said what I said in that moment to somebody in their DMs not prepared for that, even if they're a good person, hey, let me tell you about this time I almost killed myself. Like, yeah, like, go ahead.
No, I was about to say, granted, I was not present for when I went to go get water and stuff. I just wanted to ask, it's like, could we at least find an example? It's like, define a bad faith take or bad faith like thing in relation to, say, the Warhammer thing.
But like, that's the thing, is like, I can't, for Warhammer itself, I think it's a lot easier to take people in good faith. For nerd stuff, it's a lot easier to take people in good faith. Now, somebody shows up with, like, we've got, like, the gatekeeping battle rages on, right? Somebody shows up and, like, you can't play Warhammer because you're a girl.
Oh, so
GTFO. Like, fine, I'm not going to take you in good faith on something like that, obviously. I spill my guts on something deeply personal and you tell me to kill myself, like, get the fuck out. You're a douchebag. Like, you have limits, you have rails on these interactions, obviously. Like, at some point, like, you got to take people at their word, because words and actions on the internet are blurred together and we don't know, but you do have to take people at the bulk of their words and actions. If you say something that's just a joke, but, like, I can't spot the punchline and I ask you to tell me the punchline, and it's just like, oh yeah, racism was the punchline. You're just like, you're constantly doing it. I'm like, are you really being subversive or are you just a racist? At some point, you're just, like, there's things like that, like, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that.
What are you talking about?
I am talking about when somebody says, I like this army, I don't like this army, and you engage with them, and you're a shitbag to them, maybe don't do that. Maybe, let people like the things they like, and, like, don't think every time somebody says that they don't like what you like is an attack. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, absolutely. Like, a good example. Jared, Mike would need to be here for a little bit more of this because he could provide more context. There's a reason he doesn't have a game store in New Jersey anymore. A lot of the reasons why I think people don't tend to play elf armies around here, and I say this with a very small sample size.
What got me on this was, like, going to elves. Like, let's not play the fucking elves, Like, go on.
Homophobia.
Sorry. Oh, what's that? No, that's not where I was. Oh, that wasn't what I thought.
No, there's definitely, granted, I'm talking about maybe a few dozen people at most, so it's a very small sample size in the wider community, which is a good thing. But, like, between I think just a latent homophobia, because they are, like, feminine, even the most masculine of Tolkien-esque male elves, like, you're talking like Elrond, half-elven, Gil-galad, Star King of the, all of these absolutely awesome badass guys are generally very feminine looking and just not what some of these guys grew up with in terms of what they define as, like, preferred masculinity in their hobby. Like, I'm in a group chat with people who I've unfortunately been tied at the hip with since I was in high school, and they've been playing Warhammer. So, like, they're all, like, 8 to 10-ish years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, when I try and be an advocate for the game I like or the factions I like, I'm generally ridiculed. It's gotten to a point where they know that, like, they like me as a friend, but they really don't have a respect for anything that I actually care about, which is a weird in-between to be a part to have. And I just deal with it because
Hades,
they're
Death God with the hot take, dropping fire. Legolas is a fucking Chad.
Oh, they're all Chads. They're all absolutely Chads. And it takes a lot of cojones to do what a high elf does in most of these fantasy settings. I'm gonna leave it at that, because then we'll just talk about who's the coolest fantasy character, and we could go on about Goku versus Superman for ages.
Big fan of Hellboy 2. I talk about Prince Nuada all the time whenever I talk to you. Like
and now I have an army of them.
It's like, what was it? There's, like, the elves can't be badasses. They're always sissies or effeminate. And then, like, I just point at, like, Prince Nuada. Like, this is what the most badass elf on the planet looks like. Just, like, oozes badassery. Like, and he... Like,
right, and So the best way I just deal with it is, first of all, it hasn't stopped me from enjoying the army. Like I have now put in more effort than ever before into making sure that the army that I have is as superb looking as possible, first of all. And generally, I'm not going to switch what army I play when playing against them. Like we have a club day, like a few, like Jared, like 8 or 9 of us are going to be at Showcase playing AOS next Saturday.
Yeah.
Most of them are going to be going to Summer Slaughter. And look who's back.
We're talking about elves.
Yeah.
All over the world.
Did you knew this was gonna happen? You're like the dwarf like lad, right? Like your main thing is like dwarves, and like when Martin
Jared,
was
yes.
like, "Hey, let's go on Rantathon together. It's gonna be a lot of fun." Did something register in your brain where it's like, we're gonna talk about elves, we're gonna talk about dwarves, we're gonna talk about elves, we're gonna talk about dwarves? Like, was there a battle? Was there a conflict? Was it gonna be like elf dwarf? Like donation battle, like donate $5 if you like dwarves and you think dwarves are totally chads or whatever, or no, like actually elves are the ultimate chads. Donate $5. Was that what you thought was going to happen?
I thought we were going to talk.
Hoping for something. I thought we were going to get into some dwarf versus elf combat.
Well,
I thought we were going to talk about Philly versus New Jersey, and that was it.
Well, that's easy. Philly wins out on New Jersey.
Except for your fandom's like literally the worst in all of sports ball. Like just
but we're proud of that.
I know. I do explain to people. Imagine Philadelphia Eagles fans that play Warhammer, and that's all the explanation you need to tell them about.
The minute someone told me that, I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah, I'm sure I said that at Adepticon before.
Don't lump me in with the Eagles.
He's a Mets. He's a not Mets. He's a Giants fan.
Sure. But like in I mean, it's been getting better. Like I think the first Adepticon I went to.
I think they're purely. By the way, I think they're purely gay coded, and especially in the Jackson movies, which is I'm not like saying it's bad or good. Like I think like that's more than a bromance. That's true love.
Oh, Legolas and Gimli.
Legolas and Gimli.
Okay.
That's true love. That's what that is.
Yeah,
like it's true love.
About...
Look at the way they look at each other.
Well,
sure.
There's one scene very specifically that I call out on that I find interesting. For as noble and everything as a dwarf is supposed to be seen as and everything, a lot of people take the one of like the scene where he tells Aragorn to throw him and
don't tell the elf. Yeah, right.
I take that from a different way. I take it as like a lot of people. He doesn't want to look bad. I almost think of it in the sense that he doesn't want to appear weak to his friends.
I think of it as
from the opposite.
I take it as like he doesn't like the person he's wooing. He doesn't want to like not impress them because he's been playing hard to get.
Exactly. Well, and look how he looks to Galadriel. He got a lock of her hair. That made his entire adventure.
But no creeper. But like not creeper.
No
like
creeper.
it was no creeper vibes. Like you just
absolutely.
That's like platonic. Maybe it is platonic love. He's like he's got
that's Arthurian. The lock of the hair. That's like an Arthurian. That's so traditional romance. It might as well have been translated from a French manuscript.
Which kind of makes sense.
We know that in the original text, it was actually Legolas's hair.
Probably.
And then times being what they were, like I can't write overt tones of this nature in my fiction. It has to be subtext. Sorry.
I am not enough of a Tolkien scholar
I'm just joking.
Yeah. But I interrupted Jared. Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry, Jared. I was just trying. Well, we were talking about good faith versus bad faith because I've actually I've gotten so frustrated where I've shared screenshots from this conversation, names omitted, of course, but since it's local, a lot of people know who these people are, of just the bad takes being so comically bad. They frustrate me because it's like I'm trying to have a conversation with people who consider me to be their friend about this thing I like and get shut down to the point where it's almost hysterical.
Well, this is where I mean I don't give prescriptive advice on anything, but there sounds like there's an element of toxicity there that needs to be assessed.
Yes, and I well, the only way to address it is to just make sure I play with different people, which is generally what's been happening. So
you come play with us anytime, buddy.
I know. I live an hour and 20 minutes away from your store. and I have to drive around Philadelphia during rush hour to get to your store. I do that for a reason. Yeah.
So, are there any other good fantasy dwarf characters in movies outside of Lord of the Rings? In movies, I don't know. In books, Katie Bree's pretty rad.
There's
Dragon Age
dwarves too.
Hmm?
The Dragon Age ones are awesome. What's the
Varys
crossbow?
is really cool in Dragon Age 2. He's the only good part of that entire game.
God, what's his name?
Yeah.
From Witcher, Zoltan. Zoltan, definitely not a Scoia'tael. Oh no, me? Scoia'tael? No way. Zoltan Chive? I'm a squirrel, not a squirrel. Yeah, definitely not a squirrel.
Any kind of if you get into like Norse mythology stuff.
Did they ever make a Dungeons and Dragons movie? I don't remember. I feel like if they had made a Dungeons and Dragons movie, I'd have known about it, and it would have been great. It would have been the best movie ever. Certainly, they wouldn't have put in one of the Wayans brothers as comedic relief and slapstick comedy. That would have never happened if they would have made that movie around the time that they made fucking Dragonheart, an awesome movie. It would have just been Dragonheart with an ensemble cast.
Funny story, Matt. Do you? No, I want to compound how bad the Dungeons and Dragons movie is. So the Dungeons and Dragons movie was funded by New Line Cinema. New Line Cinema, for those who know, was the main producing credit for Lord of the Rings. So New Line Cinema just made like indie horror movies up until like they had dabbled in fantasy, and I believe they started shooting in either '98 or '99. So it was during pre-production for the Lord of the Rings films. So the director had access to dailies of Fellowship of the Ring while they were filming Dungeons and Dragons. So he probably was watching them, and it's like, oh my god, right. And so this was Dungeons and Dragons came out 1 year before Lord of the Rings, and this is why it's like fantasy movies used to be like Willow, Dragonheart.
Which best movie?
Legend was pretty epic.
Willow is one of my top 3 favorite movies of all time.
Freaking Crawl, one of the absolute best movies of all time. I mean, but that was where it was like Crawl could be an Age of Sigmar flick. It's so weird. It's got the like pseudo.
Kroll was the first time in a movie where I genuinely felt heartbreak when the Cyclops died. That was the same level to like Artax.
They went through and they like just killed every cool character, just like methodically. But Ergo the Magnificent was the best. Everyone knows that.
Also, first appearance of Liam Neeson in a movie.
Yeah, Liam Neeson was key. It was the Barbarian King or whatever, or the Bandit King or whatever. Yeah. Bandit with a heart of gold.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so classic. I think it was Ego, right? Ego the sorcerer. Like, and he's got like the whole quote when he meets people. Oh, it's so good. Wasn't he a player character wizard in some party you played in? Like, hi.
Yeah,
this is John. He is the other part of our 0-5 podcast. Who's mentioned throughout the podcast.
He's the one that went 0-5 also. Don and I are the namesakes.
Yes, they are the 2 reasons that we have a podcast.
He tried to party with me one night at Nova and slept the rest.
He did. He dropped out of the second half of the tournament and slept.
I don't admit to nothing.
Thank you for my TED talk.
Okay. But yeah,
trying to find the Ergo quote when he shows up and he meets people.
Dungeons and Dragons was made by the same studio that made Lord of the Rings during when Lord of the Rings was in pre-production.
Also, World of Warcraft for dwarves.
Yeah.
That was a movie.
That happened. Also, props by Weta Workshop. Oh, so funny story about Gimli and how all of this is connected. This is a hard TV and movie nerding out right here.
Are you going to talk about sliders?
No.
Oh.
Brian Blessed, our beloved voice of Gotrek.
He's not the voice of. He is Gotrek.
Okay, Brian Blessed, our beloved actor of Gotrek. So he was in a production called I, Claudius as the Emperor Augustus. I, Claudius was one of the very first television miniseries. It kind of created that genre of television product to be consumed. All of the HBO like miniseries and like premium cable as we know it, The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, stuff like that, was all kind of spawned by I, Claudius, which was a big thing. Also in I, Claudius, as a real piece of shit Roman guard named Macro, who is John Rice Davies, who went on to play Gimli, also a dwarf.
He was also in Sliders.
Exactly.
Oh my
That's what I was
god.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've told you the story before, that's why.
No, I knew he was in
Yeah.
Sliders. That's where I knew him from. I love Sliders.
Mhm.
So I found the Ergo quote from freaking Krull, which I always loved. It's like, the forest is not safe. You best travel with us. Me? Travel with you? Do you know who I am? No. He's just like, no. It's such a great interaction. He's like, I am Ergo the Magnificent. He pulls out his like script. Like he's like,
Those
like,
are the most
short in
bad guys.
stature, tall in power, narrow of purpose, and wide of vision. And like he goes the wrong way, and like it's so good. What a great! I loved Krull. It was one of my favorite movies. Like
those bad guys scared the crap out of me too, because when they die and they did that
the
like rattled flame.
yeah, gnarly.
Amazing.
You had to smash their faces in.
We're gonna pull this back to AOS since we mentioned Gotrek. I will do the hot take, unlike most of the internet, in saying I think Gotrek is a good thing.
You think he's a good thing for the meta? Like,
I do.
yeah, you got to defend
I
the
do.
stance now. Why?
I will 100% defend the stance. To give some leeway on this, I will say I'd be fine with him going back up to 500 points.
His points need to go up. I think is like a
435. Like, you want to get up to 500? I completely understand. That being said, he can be gotten around quite easily if you understand what he does. He only has a 4-inch move, and he dies very quickly to anything of 1 damage with attacks.
Well, you get death by 1,000 paper cuts is how you deal with them.
Exactly.
But there's a lot of
There's
less
only 4 inches.
wads of paper around these days, you know, in terms of like the MSU happening.
But the thing people tend to do with Gotrek always is they're going to send their biggest thing at them, and that's exactly what he wants.
No, I drown him in skeletons. Like it's always
Exactly.
My answer for everything is always just drown it in skeletons, though.
And I think, in comparison, if you look at some of the other big meta items,
sometimes the skeletons look like zombies, and sometimes they look like ghosts, but it's always drown it in skeletons.
It's all the same thing. But if you look at some of the other major factions right now, coming out of 3.0, that have a lot of dangerous potential in them and a lot of bad play experience and just difficult things to have to deal with, Gotrek for a lot of armies out of the Order faction is the only way that they can deal with those things. If you look at the Marathi bombs in 1,000,
Dan gets it.
If you look at Arcane, if you look at 4 inches move, but you redeploy towards the enemy. Oh no, you can't redeploy towards the enemy. Redeploy specifically states that when you do so, you need to move away from the unit that you're redeploying from.
Yeah, so I'm redeploying from that one over towards that one.
You can't now. That so long as you're away from the unit.
You just target the one that's the diagonal, and you diagonal towards the way you want to go. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
Real quick, couple donations coming through the world. World says dark elves are best. Keep my elves edgy. I agree.
Yeah, I feel like dark elves could be a little bit more. Oh god, I would go on such a tangent about art design and elves, so I'm not going to talk about it.
Vanilla Sauce says Duarden are better than elves. $5. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Cock meta is how you solve it. Just kill them with cockatrices. God, that's aren't they monsters? Isn't that just like 10 victory points sitting on the table? Like just
the person.
Like you don't at that. If you go for the full cock list, you don't even like if you're the opponent, you don't even play the art. You don't even play the table anymore. You just kill their cockatrices.
Yeah, but the person playing the cockatrices doesn't care. They're not there
That's why they're playing the. It's the same guy that's playing the steam tank army. Like
5. Sorry, yeah, you're right. You can only get 1 per round for killing them.
One person voted for me to go on the art design tangent, but I wanted to hopefully end the stream because I think we originally wanted Mephisto originally reached out because he wanted to try and get a slice of the Northeast, and I was hoping we could yes, literally a slice. And sometimes they splice in from behind Jared. I was hoping we could try and end it by promoting a little bit of local stuff, like what's going on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Self-promote. Self-promote away. Go ahead.
And well, please, Jared, go first because I'd love if you had the opportunity to tell more people about the awesome event, as I think it can't go. It cannot be understated how incredible, especially for our community, the turnout for Summer Slaughter will be and what that means for the Northeast.
Yeah, so in 2 weeks now, we have our club's major event once a year. We're on, I think this is our 4th Summer Slaughter now. Because of a lot of the GW, I thank Games Workshop for putting their tournaments up at the same time as ours in the South, and all the 40K guys ended up going that way because it allowed us to do our very first 100-man AOS event. In 2 weeks, we are fully sold out. It's 100 people. It's $100 a person, but you get a full buffet both days plus free beer. And you get
I also did a poll amongst people because when certain people in, I like to call it the cult of old men who live in caves, the toxic chat I'm tied at the hip, they had very, I think, middle schooler takes of like, well, what if I don't want to eat the food, or what if I don't want to drink the beer? I'm part of a chat, which is very much like the Just Play guys and some rowdy British guys who are just like some of the best Age of Sigmar players in the world. And all they do is just throw beef at each other for just no reason all hours of the day when they're up. And I asked them, okay, so this is $100 US. I forget what the equivalent in pounds was. And this is the offering on fun, not including raffles, prizes, 5 games of Warhammer, a cool hotel, stuff like that. But you also get this. And they were saying, it's like, why are you guys undercharging? I would pay like another $40 or so or more for an experience like that. And so it's like I think there's just second to none, just the services that you guys are offering. And we haven't had people think that Nova represents like all of the Northeast, and to an extent we do try and have a strong showing at Nova. Even with its uncertain future, people are trying to get back to it and stuff like that. But I think other than Nova is like in Virginia, like we have people like 7-8 hours away that consider Virginia to be almost like in another territory. Yeah. So for us, we usually have something called Du Bois, which anyone who knows me on Twitter, I talk about that nonstop because I consider that usually to be our like big event of the year for the Northeast. And to an extent, it's one of the longer running GTs east of Ohio. It's been going, I think, for 15 years now. He's been running it since like before 6th or 7th edition is basically how long Gary's been running it, and that and Crossroads. But Crossroads is now like of this big, and now all Kings of War now, like that used to be the big deal, and it still is. Like everyone's been trying to make it happen. All of the volunteers at Du Bois, and like even with COVID restrictions, it's still trying to happen. At it's still like going to be a few hundred people there. Having a dedicated 1 game system event with 100 players selling out within weeks of it opening up, and there's a wait list, by the way. As I've been telling people in the chat today who are still thinking about it, who still might be able to attend, 8 to 12% of any event just tends to drop, like period. And so like that just happens. People have like last minute things. People might not be feeling well and just don't want to come, stuff like that. Get on that wait list. It's never too late to try and sign up. If you do, it's really worth your while, I think.
And the MSRP on prize support that we've been able to offer, we were able to raise is about $5,000. We have full armies for the top 3 overalls, so that's combining everything. We've got a best painted award. We've got best sportsman. Then we add in fun ones like smoking boots or the official Don Clark award. For the last place individual, typically it's a different game system. And then we have our newest award, which is called Middle Management. You get an award for literally being the very most average person throughout the entire tournament if you are dead center in the pack.
Yeah. And the first person to get that was Steve Chachik.
Yes.
And he was telling me a story during the event where he got a door prize. It was just like a raffle of a Mega Gargant, and he said that to Tracy, it's like, I'm sorry, this raffle win just cost our family $400 because now I have to go buy a Mega Gargant army. And then he won Middle Management, and he said, I own 24 Age of Sigmar armies, but not Kharadron Overlords. Here he goes winning a Kharadron Overlord, start collecting box of ACO. But other than Summer Slaughter, what can we look ahead to like what are the Basement Wargamers planning, even for 40K events, because this is at times a multi-Warhammer stream.
Well, so we work heavily with Palladium Games, Mike D's game store, and assist in running those. Typically, we'll do monthly AOS tournaments, Rogue Trader tournaments, and monthly 40K ones also. In October, to celebrate the store's year, its first year opening, we're helping it set up a AOS doubles tournament. So, a bunch of fun stuff signing up for there. General fun rules, nothing too terribly crazy. But beyond that, no other major things outside of Summer Slaughter. This is the big one.
Then I will be take over from there.
Yeah.
So I am the admin of the New Jersey Age of Sigmar Facebook group. This is kind of where we got it started, and you'll notice that there's like over almost 400 people in that group now. Granted, 400 people in the greater area of New Jersey do not play Age of Sigmar. I use it formally as a networking tool. I am going to be rebooting it after a sense. We have not had a community calendar. I took it down once lockdowns really looked like they were going to be a long-term thing. And I started to collate information, and after effect, Sean and I basically had the same good idea. Sean is much more detailed with his. I try and just keep it short and sweet. With just the community calendar breaking down regional, national, and local events. Like, if it might not be wise for people who want to set up a weekend tournament to do it the same weekend as, say, Gen Con. I mean, you still can. Just know that people might not be able to attend if we have a lot of people from our area attending.
One of the hardest things to do is to get your event together and make sure you're not stepping on the toes of other events.
Yeah, and that's going to happen no matter what. We live in a very big.
We've got enough events now to where it's like virtually impossible, right? But
but it's also important. That's why I try and partition them based on size. Like, if something big is happening, like say Midwest Meltdown, which great event I've been to. I went to the first one. Someone who's running a local event may not have a problem with running the same weekend as Midwest Meltdown, because we are like 700 miles from Midwest Meltdown. You may have one or two people going to Midwest Meltdown from here, say from New Jersey, and it's just important to take into account something like that. It's not cool when and again, it can't be helped. It's just saying, just in general, say something like Games Workshop schedules a tournament the same weekend as other GTs, because I know there's a big one that weekend in Missouri, and now in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Those two events normally wouldn't really have to worry about interacting with one another because they are even further apart than that. But it's just a matter of knowing your community and knowing what to plan for.
Right.
Someone running a tournament at a game store the same weekend as, say, Du Bois, when you know that almost everyone is going to Du Bois that weekend. Why are you trying to run an AOS tournament at, say, Palladium? Because I know Palladium's going to still have to be open, even though Mike's going.
Yeah.
Right.
I think he's still going.
Missouri?
No, he sent me a screenshot. Oh,
okay,
yes.
cool.
He sent me a screenshot of his ticket.
I'm TOing the doubles event at
as you guys always are
at Du Bois. So
wow. So real quick, last 5 minutes to donate $5 or more to enter yourself to win the majestic Lumineth Realm Lord box. Remember,
do $5. Do $5.05 as a dwarf person to get the Lumineth box, just to build them and paint them as prisoners.
Wow, brutal.
How many dollars are we at?
To your dwarven army,
nice.
right?
Very nice.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Anyway, so events that I'm personally running. I was talking about the Facebook group. I'm going to be putting the community calendar back up either tomorrow or sometime next week to get stuff kicked off. I'll be talking with Sean about trying to just collate information. I run tournaments every other month in Brooklyn at the Brooklyn Strategist, which is generally a fun, just a very fun, straightforward stuff. Just come and have fun. We always find new and fun places to eat because it's in the hipster part of Brooklyn. It's a great time. So we have tournaments in Philadelphia, in Phoenixville. We have tournaments in Brooklyn. Granted, those are not near each other, so it's like we're talking about a decent region for people to play at. I will try and reach out to Mythicos to try and stir that old mountain. Try and get those guys to talk about their events again. There's a club in North Jersey called Mythicos, which has a lot of money but doesn't outreach a lot. We just try and include them in a lot of our collective networking, even though it's a little bit one-sided because every player matters around here. Every player matters, period. It's just like for us, like because of turnout being down to individuals, every player really does matter.
Right. Real quick, you've got a question. You finished the event you're spruiking, but you got a question here in chat, gang.
Oh, Drizzt, yay or nay? I have played D&D about as many times as I have fingers on two hands. D&D is not really for me. Thus, the D&D universe, especially the traditional D&D Magic the Gathering, Pathfinder style of fantasy universes, is not really my thing. They're a little too broad. The closest I could really get is something like Dragon Age, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, a little bit more. Probably a little bit more historical leaning and boring, even if they are a little bit spookier in tone. But that's basically how I can answer that question. He seems cool. He has a lot of books about him. A lot of good writers have written books about him. So
I mean, R.A. Salvatore is.
I actually have to drop, guys, but thank you guys so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Good luck with everything, guys.
Thanks, Jared.
Mental health is a very, very important thing and deserves more focus.
Yeah, Jared, I won't be able to make it next weekend because I'll be painting, so I'll see you at Summer Slaughter.
I'll see you there, buddy. Can't wait to see you guys again.
Take it easy. All right. Drizzt is cool. It's become the hit. You can drop out, man. Take care. Thank you again. Thanks so much. Drizzt is cool. It's become this weird hipster thing to hate the popular thing, and just because it's popular doesn't mean it sucks. It got popular for a reason. So haters back off. That being said, Zach Nafane is way sweeter.
I have no idea who that is.
His dad.
Okay.
His dad, who gets resurrected by the Spider Queen to murder him, and he's a ancient weapons master. He's Zach Nafane. So sweet. Sorry.
While you're pulling the CSV and everything, I would just like to, because I actually really haven't talked about the events I'm running.
No, keep going.
So I would like to say in February, tentatively, I was going to try and run my own GT, in South Jersey, as in I control the venue, I control the terrain, I have the prizes and everything like that. And originally it was supposed to be in October 2020. That didn't happen, of course. We still have the venue. We have found a nice community center in the development where my parents live. We will be trying out the venue for a one-day doubles event, probably in February. As we get closer to the holidays, we're gonna look at that a little closer, and just try and get the same amount of people as we would for a one-day event, but as a doubles thing, just to try and get people. How do you like the event? Is there enough space? As in, how much butt touching is there? Is the amount of butt touching there is that are you okay with that? Just trying logistically to understand the space now, how people feel about it, prizes, terrain setup, stuff like that. And then we take the feedback from the one-day event and try and run a two-day event next October. That is the one event I have gotten Chuck to sign his name in blood on the dotted line to come, because I am convinced Chuck will watch the VOD on this, so he'll hear me talk about this. Chuck, I am convinced if his foot touches New Jersey soil, he will burst into flames, which is why he hasn't been able to come to any events. For ACO, he sent his entire club, which was wonderful. His club is a wonderful group of human beings who I really adore, but he himself did not come. And I'm convinced it is because if he touches New Jersey soil like a vampire, he will go up in flames. But I did get him to sign on the line, which is dotted, for Claymore, one of them. That is what the GT is called. No stealing.
Yeah, unique idea. Please don't steal.
Question for me: paint hobgoblins or kill a boss on Gnashtooth? I am going to be painting the Cruel Boys box eventually. This before Christmas. As a 3-week speed.
Doing the drawing now for LRL.
Yeah.
Ooh, spicy. I love it when I see the low number. I said that already. The Lord Whale. Ironically, with the Dark Elves take earlier, wins the High Elves, the Light Elves.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. I can stay on if you want until you get your next guest, by the way. Is Heywoah next?
No, next guest is Warhammer veterans. This is not experienced players of Warhammer, though they may be. It's about military veterans. If you're in chat, gang, you're a Warhammer veteran. If you're a military veteran, it doesn't matter, which country. This is an international event. I know it's for Mental Health America, but I will be donating basically $50 for each international guest I have had. One for basically because we've got some Australian guests, 3 of them. I'm donating to Black Dog out of my pocket. And then I've got Samaritans that I'll be donating to in the UK because of Ian. But also, Ian didn't let me last year, but I finally found the autism charity in his area, so I'll be donating to that. And I'll put those receipts up on Twitter. It's weird to brag about charity to me, but I just want to be look, this isn't a scam. This isn't a.
Well, no, I would call it then. I have a way with words as well. I would call it celebrating in the spirit of giving.
Right, and that's the thing is to show the interconnectedness. They help.
Yeah, that's why I've still been donating. I was actually hoping that I would not win another prize because then I would be the Soul Blight, the mega prize, sure, but I would take 1 or 2 boxes and then just put the rest of them in the vault to give away at either ACO or Claymore or local events and such.
Yeah.
But anything else, I would be I already won one of the prizes. I still want to donate anyway because mental health, most charities I think are worth donating to. Otherwise, why would you make the charity?
You got to be aware of some of them. Some of them are basically laundering schemes. That's why you got to look into your donation, your rate donators, and your stuff like that.
I just meant generally.
Yes.
Take UNICEF or Mental Health America, for example. And I think it's an important thing worth donating to, which is why I believe I've now donated up to the $50 thing. I might donate another 5 or so tomorrow morning, depending on stuff. But yeah. Are you ready to pull them in? Or, by the way, I don't want to just ramble on.
Checking. Yeah, so we got Dave, Stormcaller Dan. So Dan from the Cubic Shenanigans podcast. Dave Blenner GDead, who has been absolutely pivotal in orchestrating this thing. Chaos Lord Mars, if he chooses to show up. I don't want to read my DMs on things, so I'll check over here.
Hey. Hey, guys.
Hello.
All right, let me... Yeah.
Hello.
So, I was talking to
I'm
Mark
getting
earlier.
a whistle from somebody.
It's not me, is it?
It is you.
It's probably my air. Let me try to turn that off. I was talking to Mars earlier, and Mars went to his first 2-day convention today.
Oh, yeah, all right. Good on him. I hope he wins all the stuff.
So he's driving back. You'll love this. You will love this, Meth. He's like, hey, everybody was talking about dinner, so I just assumed that it ended at 5. And he's like, apparently I'm the only one who likes to eat dinner at 5 o'clock. And I was like, yeah, man, they normally end at 7 or 8, dude. And he's like, yeah, I'm driving right now. So.
All right. You are rotated sideways. You know why this is?
I'll try to plug in my gaming headphones too. That might help a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sign off then, everybody.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Oh, just a quick plug. You can find me on Twitter at CV_Consigliere, or follow my Instagram at The Wandering Prince, or just type my name into Google plus Warhammer and all my stuff comes up. Thank you. Donate. Don't forget to donate. Thank you for doing this, Meth. And again, the mouse pad thing, if you want me to mail it to you, just let me know and I'll mail it to you personally, or you can wait.
I can finally get rid of my League of Legends mouse pad. Are you telling me that I haven't gotten paid money to shoutcast or do League of Legends stuff in so long, and I virtually quit playing it because, speaking of mental health, sinks. I am a monster when I play League of Legends. You talk about the grognards in your store. None of the that guys in the world equal me in League of Legends. It brings out. I don't think it's just me. I think it's most people. There's something about it. I think there's some psyop going on that I don't know about to just make people the worst.
It's because there's no story mode in League.
Is that what it is?
That's my guess, because it's when the only way to interact with a game.
All right, hi Marshall.
is PvP. I think that does something to people's expectations.
And in League, you can chat at the other team, right?
Okay.
So it's not just your team as well.
Yeah. You should. It should. If they remove the chat functionality entirely from the game, it will improve the community tenfold, guaranteed. There should be no chat functionality. But the thing is companies have realized negativity. Oh, it's so good for the commodification of your time.
With that,
if you're happy, you stop playing. If you're triggered, you keep playing.
I will let him wax about League, because I tried League twice and it said, "Oh, this is it. Nothing, not for me. I'm gonna go back to painting models."
All right.
Yeah. I will paint models tomorrow.
All
right. So thank you all. I will catch this later. Have a good one.
Yeah. Take care, Marty. Thanks for joining us.
See you, Marty.
All right. I'm gonna grab in honor of Mars.
You gonna grab that Slanesh?
That's a Dominion box.
I think that was the previous one.
Oh, okay. That one I don't need.
I'm not gonna lie. So like I'm before we were going on the show, so I'm hanging out with my wife in the backyard. We had a little fire going, right? And all of a sudden, someone writes me and they're like, "Hey man, you won something," and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome! Where?" And they're like, "Yeah, you won the Dominion box that you donated," and I was like, "What? No.
I don't want that." That's hilarious.
So I actually won the coaching with Rocco, so maybe he can make my sons play a little better. You know, my targets.
Yeah, use them for your sons. Yeah, you don't need it. Nah. That's hilarious.
Last minute addition from Brendan when I went to pick up the Soul Blight stuff.
Yeah.
So the Slanesh coin there, collectible coin, going in with Sigvald and the stuff that Mars sent. So Keeper Secrets.
Are you guys hearing echoes?
A little.
Or is it just me?
A little bit.